Hello and welcome to the Academic Center for Writing presentation on traditional forms in poetry. This presentation was written and narrated by Jason Schneider, writing specialist in the ACW. There are two types of sonnets, the Italian sonnet and the English sonnet. The Italian sonnet is sometimes called the Petrarchan sonnet. The English sonnet is often called the Shakespearean sonnet or Elizabethan sonnet. A sonnet typically conveys a single theme or a set of feelings. Both sonnets are usually an iambic pentameter, but the rhyme scheme differs. The English sonnet has an interlocking rhyme scheme indicated by the alternating rhyme at the end of each line. The beginning of the sestet in a sonnet usually conveys the contrast in theme or change in mood. And the rhyming couplet, as the last two lines of the poem of an English sonnet, summarizes and synthesizes the contrasting elements of the octave and sestet. Notice that the Italian sonnet does not end with a rhyming couplet as the English sonnet does. This is an example of an English sonnet by Shakespeare. Though there are no spaces between the stanzas, Shakespeare's sonnet remains true to the form of an English sonnet. Notice that the mood changes in the sestet in line 9 where it says, "Yet in these thoughts." Again, here's another example of a sonnet, but this sonnet is an Italian sonnet by Frost. Frost kept the sonnet true to the form of an Italian sonnet, except that he varies its form in that it ends with a rhyming couplet at the end like an English sonnet, where it says, "What but design of darkness to appall, if design govern in a thing so small?" The Rondo has the same number of syllables in each line. The Rondo differs from a sonnet in that it has a refrain that repeats the first line of the poem at the end of a quatrain and sestet. The refrain should express the theme of the poem. Notice that the Rondo has 14 lines, just as the sonnet, too. Bertrand wrote a rondo here that is equal in syllabic length of 10 syllables, except with variation in length in the refrain that has 7 syllables. A refrain is a line that repeats another line, but it doesn't always have to repeat word for word another line. A refrain can vary slightly in word choice or length a little. The stanzas in a pantoum have quatrains that have any kind of meter and syllable length depending on the poet's choice. However, a pantoum ends with a rhyming couplet. Notice that the rhyme scheme in the quatrains have an interlocking pattern. Using this example by Clement Long, the repeating lines in the following stanzas are refrains, just as in a rondo. The lines 2 and 4 in the first quatrain repeat in lines 1 and 3 in the second quatrain, shown by the arrows. The same pattern of repeating lines occur again between every 2 quatrains. In the first quatrain, the first and third lines are repeated in the last 2 lines, a couplet, again illustrated by arrows pointing the first line from the first quatrain to the last line and the third line from the first quatrain to the second to the last line of the poem. The pantoum describes themes that have cycles, typically because of the repeating lines, such as the cycles and change in generation between father and his children in the example. The Villanelle uses a refrain just as the rondo and pantoum. However, a villanelle differs in that it has 6 stanzas, reoccurring rhyme scheme between 2 rhymes, 2 refrains that occur in regular sequence, and written in syllabic lines of equal length. The 2 refrains in a villanelle should be central to the theme of the poem. Though the refrains should have subtle or a slight variation from each other. Here's an example of a villanelle by Rondo. Though the refrain has been mentioned concerning the Rondo and Pantoum, the refrain occurs often in a villanelle. The refrain, "I wait to sleep," is ironic, if not a paradox, and expresses a central theme of all life is destined to die. Later in the first refrain, "and take my waking slow," expresses that the poet is aware of this and will make the best of the time he has to live. Inevitable death is reinforced by the rest of the refrain, "by going where I have to go." Thanks for watching. For questions about this or any other writing topic, come and visit the Academic Center for Writing in room W114. Thanks again.